Yes, thank you very much for inviting us. We're happy to be a case study. Didn't know that we were that good. A lot of my part of the presentation, I'm going to talk for the first 15 minutes and then pass off to Georg, focuses on the business opportunity and the business side of things, and integrating a design process and treating interaction design as a first-class citizen and baking it into our entire delivery process so that it can happen at a high standard every single week was absolutely critical towards helping us achieve our goal of being able to migrate our customers, and I'll explain that in a second. For those of you who are not familiar with Springer Verlag, did I say it right, Georg? Springer is a publishing conglomerate. It's Springer Science and Business Media, so we have a scientific publishing arm and a business B2B publishing arm. We're from the science publishing area. We have a number of brands. There's over 70 imprints and subsidiaries in the Springer conglomerate. We publish a lot of books. We publish a lot of journals. We make a decent amount of money. We have 6,000 employees. A couple of interesting things to note is that we have taken some bold bets on a couple of things like digitization of our entire book catalog, digitization of all of our historical journal content, which was a significant task. Millions and millions of pages needed to get scanned and OCR'd. And we also have taken some bets about the future of the publishing business with our embracement of the open access publishing model. So what were we trying to do that we needed ThoughtWorks help with? We were trying to rebuild Springer's main content platform. So this is SpringerLink, as it is in its current incarnation. SpringerLink is responsible for 95% of all the money that we make selling things online. And as a business, publishing is completely, transitioning that way. We've been trying to manage that change in a way that's, as profitable as possible and try to maintain our previous, product lines while implementing new ones. But our online platform is the heart of our strategy. 6 out of our 7 pillars of our company strategy are dependent on having a best-in-class kind of online delivery platform for the product that we make. We have a large number of institutional customers who pay for access to the content on our site, so we have some security and paywall kind of issues. We have a large number of visitors coming to the site and executing downloads of our content on the site, 5.7 million different documents that they have available to them, 60 million pages. So our task was to rebuild this. It's kind of the heart of the business, of the online business. So we didn't follow Sam's advice of starting with something that we could possibly fail at. So it was a big task, and this platform had previously been completely outsourced. As a publisher, we believed that software development was not our core competency until we didn't. And this is exactly how it made me feel when we thought about building this entire thing and being responsible for this change internally. And then we were told, yes, and we'd also like to have the first installation of this done in less than a year so that we can test it out with a new market that we want to penetrate. And then we'll decide whether or not we want to go live with the 95% of our traditional business opportunity. And that time pressure made me feel like this. And then we looked around at the organization and we said, OK, so what do we got? Where are we? Where are we today so that we can build a new content platform in 11 months? And that's where we were. We had seven staff, myself, Georg, and our boss, Jan Erik, the EVP of the IT department, accounted for 3 of those, so we don't really count. So then I felt like that. But where we are today, we're in a much better place today. We're in a happy place. We have a large team for us, for our standards. We have a fair number of developers. We support them with all the BAs and QAs and front-end development and user interaction people that we need. We have lots and lots of hardware and software. I'm not going to speak intelligently about that, so please reserve all difficult technical questions for my colleague Georg. And what I want to express about what continuous delivery has done for us as a business is that it's allowed us to kind of change our mindset about how we operate and start doing things in an extremely different way. We used to be constrained by what the technology, or specifically our technology provider, could do for us. This is what they could do for us. I'm not kidding you. This is our actual release schedule from our previous technology partner. It was 2-week sprints, 5 of them, followed by 6 weeks of testing. It was not anything that you've seen in any of the slides previously. It's why you hire consultants. And we had 3 scheduled releases per year. So you want something changed on the site, come back to us in 4 months if it's a high priority. Otherwise, don't come back. This is where we are today. We do weekly releases. We have weekly iterations. I think in 23 weeks, we've done 20 releases to the live site. So very much similar to Verivox, we've seen a great improvement in our ability to get things out to the market, to test our assumptions, and to be able to deliver for our customers when they say, I need this now. So this is what we do. We get real software out in front of real people, and we get to test it. In the beginning, this is what it looked like. Our very first iteration. This one didn't go live. We needed some more work, so this is our second iteration. We got rid of the Casper ghost picture. We added a bit more data from a real database, and we thought, okay, yeah, we're going great. And I should mention at this point, this is when we were transitioning from 7 staff to like 12 staff. And this is when Georg was going out and buying workstations on his credit card so that we could make sure that when they showed up for work, when these new hires came in, there would be a place for them to sit. We did get some design in, and then we changed the design and added more features, and now finally we're at the point where we do the same blue-green deployment where it has 0 downtime, and we're able to push a new version, a new build of our site live in a few hours, Georg? Our build time, or launch?
It depends how much you put into it. With ingestion, it's maybe 2 days, but if you have just to fix a bug, it's just a half hour. If everything has to be very fast. But I think normally our release is 2 hours.
Typical consultant answer, it depends. Another advantage that we've had is that we've started to be able to collect evidence about a lot of our decisions. We do A/B testing. We've done user testing in 2 various forms. We've done the formal marketing department, market research department pays a lot of money, and we sit in front of a mirrored glass and watch people testing. And we also invite people just in to kind of gut check our assumptions on a fairly regular basis. And what this allows us to be is a lot more focused with the amount of work that we do, with the problems that we're trying to solve, with the prioritization of our features. We really have been able to take this approach of atomizing the work down into bits to be able to say, I really want to do this thing, and I know that this thing is more important than that thing. We are organized and do our priority work according to our business goals, right? We do get a lot of requests for apps. Everyone wants an app. But we say, what we need to do right now is migrate our old technology provider onto our new platform. And that doesn't mean making you an app right now. So that's a great benefit of being able to do this. This is our obligatory shot of our goal wall. So everything to the left of the red lines is in scope. Everything to the right of the red lines is out of scope. The red lines move depending on how much scope we're doing, what our velocity is. Unfortunately, the red lines only move in one direction. It's to the left. And where we are right now is where we have a continuous cycle of design, delivery, and then redesign. Every new feature gives us an opportunity to not only develop that particular feature, but also look at the entire integration of everything that we do in the entire context of the site. So I have to thank our UX team. They've done a fantastic job on that so far. So what we feel like we've delivered to the organization is a continuous innovation engine where we can say, we'll throw this out, we'll see how it works. With so many releases and with such small changes, not only is it useful from a DevOps, operational side to keep things manageable, but it also helps us to say, I want to test just this one thing and see how that works. Okay, great, let's do more of that. Or nope, that didn't work, let's now abandon that and do something else. Where has this brought us today? What are our big challenges? So we've reduced the bottleneck of software development inside our organization. But what that's done is it's revealed other bottlenecks where other departments that we deal with, that we are dependent on, it takes a village, whatever, all big happy family, are not able to operate on the same time frames and with the same kind of delivery standards that we can. And so we need to try to pull the organization kicking and screaming into the same way of thinking, into the same kind of time frames. So that's the cycle times of other organizations need to be reduced. We can't wait for 6 weeks to get a delivery of content. We need to re-ingest tomorrow. It's also a challenge for us to do this entire process of build, measure, learn in a more structured and organized way. We can do it now. That's the great advantage. We really did not have this capability at all before, but we haven't yet built the systems that help us do this very well. And the biggest problem that this whole Agile deployment has caused for us is that now we can't blame IT anymore. So we used to be able to say, oh, it's IT, it's technical, you don't want to get into it. And now we've delivered so well that that's no longer an excuse. So that's the business side of the continuous delivery value, and I'm going to pass off to my colleague, Georg.
Thank you very much, Brian. So I'm actually the boring guy here. Okay, I want to speak a little bit about continuous delivery today at Springer, how we do it, and actually want to give you a kind of short overview where we are coming from, and then how do we move? Because I think continuous delivery plays a major role if you try to be agile. It's a facilitator for being agile, and then I want to give you some conclusions how I see the way we went through and how the results appear to us. Yeah, so where are you coming from? Actually, I'm now 10 years with Springer. Before that, I've been in software development and in project management and IT projects, and most of the time we did waterfall projects. And, tried to make them fast. We tried to make them not always 2 years, better maybe only 6 months or 12 months, but it was more like waterfall projects, and we went through various stressful situations which were very exciting, but you don't want to have this excitement usually, like adventurous deployments, which once they work out in, a few hours like you thought, once they take you a week, and you are debugging, you're really fighting hard, and then to find out that just because of a missing click, which accidentally, was not in that new version of software available or whatever, has driven you crazy over this time. And yes, we have a strong SAP background. So in that area, I was already, faced with a way of continuous integration, or maybe I would call it better software logistics. That's what SAP is calling it. So the distribution of new deployments is very well organized, but the integration of various subsystems, integration of tests, and so more the holistic view on it, that's actually suffering there. So it's already an improvement compared to, let's say, the experience I made in the Documentum area, but still not to that extent like you dream of, as a boring guy. And so I was very pleased to, once we got introduced to ThoughtWorks, that they told us, okay, you want to do the Agile, how about continuous delivery? So actually I was immediately a fan of it. Don't know whether you were.
I didn't know what it was.
And so, and I thought, okay, let's do that, because I don't want to sit in a situation you have a bug fix and you don't get it live. Yeah. Okay, and then for me the whole continuous delivery thing has to do with the Agile approach, with the Agile method, because it makes Agile work. That's my take on that. So I mean, when we started doing that, I think my idea was having bi-weekly iterations, because I was aware that, given my former experience, it's pretty an overhead to finish an iteration, to deploy it, to go through the QA, to make it all happen in a shorter time. And I thought if we would do it weekly, maybe we would have to do 2 days for deploying the software and doing the testing and so on and so on. And then the overhead would be just too much. And then, but together with talking about continuous delivery and automation and making these things smoothly, it became clear to me, hey, we can do it weekly. That's great. So, and ThoughtWorks was really encouraging and telling us, hey, we make it happen. If you want to have it like this, it will happen like this. And at the beginning, it was, of course, kind of new and kind of a surprise, but it was also easier than now, because the whole environment was smaller, a lot smaller, like the orange Casper. And I think that's really funny. This was our original architecture. It's still valid on that level. So I think we were somewhere lucky, of course, somewhere not that bad in fleshing that architecture out. And that gives you kind of a highlight about what we are talking about when we do continuous delivery. Yeah? I mean, the idea is, of course, to have a push-button deployment of the whole environment to an empty system. So that means you have Linux on it and nothing else, and then you push a button, you get everything. Yeah, database, mark logic, complicated stuff. Not perfectly automated, or to automate, some flaws within that, but yeah, we found a way to deal with it. Then we do have kind of a complicated beast to integrate our SAP customer data and order data. So along with that, we have an online representation of our identities, which is also kind of a complicated application stack. And then, of course, our own core application, which is maybe the easiest part to deploy, because it's just some jar files. And together with that, on top of that, of course, all the integration and test scenarios, which you want to execute whenever you go to a new environment, just to prove every single step still works like expected. And at the beginning, we had, many areas of these halfway automated. I think at the beginning, MarkLogic was just manually installed, and then it was kind of a hassle, and after a while, the system became bigger and bigger. We hit the point where we said, okay, we have to take care of that. We have to really automate it. We have to really have some more integration tests against it to prove after we deploy it into a new environment that it's still working. So it is not a kind of a, like Sam said, you do it and then it's done. It's an ongoing thing. It's a practice, and that I think is important. And it has to do also with the way I understand the DevOps works. You need to have DevOps which are capable to program and to automate your own stuff. Yeah? I mean, if you're a shoemaker and you don't willing to wear your own shoes, you have a problem, I think, because you don't make it very good enough for yourself. And I think what we try to do with our DevOps people and with the help of ThoughtWorks is to make the software development with the tool of a software engineer reliable, reproducible, and quick. So this is the current build process pipeline for the total, let's say, worst case scenario where we do full data ingestion, where we do, so actually our 5.7 million documents into the database, plus reinstall of the database, plus doing all the integration tests, deploying of the core software, setting up of the identity management platform, connecting it to the SAP's landscape, and so on and so on. Usually, we don't have to do the whole thing. If you would do the whole thing, then that was my kind of consultant answer. It takes 2 days because actually most of the 2 days is just consuming the 5/6 terabyte of data. That's just machine time. But normally, I think an average is about 2 hours. If you do the deployment of the core with some kind of facilities around it and run the test against it. And I think that's a good thing. So we can really do, if we have an urgent bug, we can react on it. It's the time to identify the bug, fix it, to deploy is really short. So if somebody makes us aware or we have an issue we fail to identify up front, we usually get it in place in that day. And that's, I think, it's extreme big business value. That's one of the management screens of the Go environment, the Go tool we are using to make this, to steer this continuous delivery environment. And
Georg, there's a red one.
It took a while to wait for finding one with. Usually it's all green, because we are so amazing, and the software, of course, as well. Yeah, actually, so I mean, I'm not so much about the tools. I think there are many other continuous integration / delivery environments you can use to do that. It's just important to be clear about what you want to have. You want to be able to have an empty boxes, to get the whole thing on it, to get the whole test running against it, and having it configured, let's say, almost automatically. Yeah? And if you want to do that, you can do it in Perl. It takes a little bit more effort, but if you have some extreme good Perl guys in your DevOps team, then let's do that with Perl. That's our build monitor. Red, again, and live A even. So that's, of course, the important screen, and I'm hit London and come to the office. That's maybe my first or second look at the screen. Oh, okay, this is red. Okay, and somebody's working on it, and usually, but this gives a kind of a good impression about where we are. If we try to make that's of course also part of the practices. Each change should be ideally isolated, running against the dev environment, which holds the integration test, and then if the test fails, it becomes red. And then you can see, okay, what was on it? You can look at Go and see, okay, who checked it in? And then the guy can be, hey, come out of the kitchen. You have a problem. Yeah, usually we are nicer to our people, of course, but depends on the urgency. No. But I think this is also important. So it makes transparency, it makes it transparent, and that's all about it. So just to share a couple of experiences. So we use Chef to automate our installations, Capistrano then to deploy and configure the environments. Challenges in that environment were, we had long-lasting deployments. I'm talking especially about a certain area which we could then reduce so that the end-to-end deployment again became, under the 2-hour time frame. For these things, we were actually forced to distinct static software pieces from, changing software pieces. And at the beginning, we actually installed almost all software out of the package, from a package install environment. And then we found out, okay, if you go ahead with that and install every time the MacLogic database software or every time the OpenAM software from scratch, it's just, destroying our whole pipeline. And so we stepwise excluded these static parts out of the deployment pipelines and managed to still keep the whole, let's say, shortest time to live on a kind of a reasonable time frame. Yeah. So it's an ongoing effort. If it happens that we, for example, identify, okay, we have trouble with our deployments, it takes us too long, then we send some of our dev guys onto the environment to analyze, okay, which steps is now, let's say, where's the lowest hanging fruit, which steps takes too much time from our experience, and then we improve it, and then we're happy again until we hit the next, issue or problem. So it's an ongoing practice. It's kind of a stressful thing, but the good thing is usually when you have the stress, it's not where you have Jan Eric behind you, back and pushing you, hey, get it live, yeah. So actually, if it breaks usually on a boring Wednesday, and then we can take care of it, and nobody is bothered by it. And we had a couple of times where we said, hey, we can't do the release this time because we had a bug in our continuous delivery, or we had a bug which was hard to identify in the software. But that was usually not the case because we practice it every week, every day. We have multi-deployments every day. So that's good. So we have to do it frequently, and if you do it frequently, it becomes a boring thing, and that's the best thing you can say about software deployment, to be boring. So my conclusion is on that, just do it. It puts Agile to work, and don't sacrifice running software for kind of very short benefits. Thank you very much.